If you could change one thing about humanity, what would it be and why?
Probably what we value in humanity just become less materialistic and probably more spiritual, you know.
What about you, Daisy?
More pizza.
More pizza. I would say the same. Do you believe humanity is more divided or united than it has been in the past?
I'll probably say in a lot of aspects, if you like watch what they put on the media, it's more divisive. But I think that there's a good chance we'll overcome that. So we just gotta stay optimistic and positive and realise that like our words have an effect
How do
and
you
have
believe?
ripple effects through the community. Like if you talk to me about something or like doing this for today, like, you know, that could might say something that could change someone's perspective on things, you know.
How do you think we're going to overcome it then?
Just being more conscious and observant and aware of what, like, cause and effect, like our actions always have a consequence, you know.
Thank you. What small changes could an individual make to change the world and make it a better place?
I think just trying to be 1% better every day, I guess.
1%? Only one?
Well, over time, over your whole lifetime, that's a lot of percents.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. What does success truly mean to you, and how has your definition of it evolved over time?
Well, success would be doing what you want when you want to do it and living life on your own terms.
Like what terms? Like, do you have terms that you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, you need to have like a belief structure, and that's what I was going back to before. It's like, well, I read some good books like, you know, the Hermetic Principles and things like that. Like, there's like universal laws and stuff that we should try and stick by, you know. Which, yeah, that's a whole other conversation though.
Yeah. Why does the government make people pay rent?
Why does the government make people pay rent? Or why does the government tell people what they should be paying for rent? Because, like, at the end of the day, the government controls the banking system, and the banking system uses, you know, houses as collateral so they can give money to people. And so, like, the people that are purchasing the houses in this sort of economy where it's like they base a lot of the, you know, the gross domestic product of a country on housing prices, it's not really a good way to, like, make it appear like, hey, our country's doing good when we've got very, like, little exports. Like we've got the fuel industry, we've got tourism. University was a big sector, but I think AI is taking a lot of that away. But yeah, like, in regards to housing, the people that have got the houses are just as much debt trapped as the people trying to buy the houses. And over time, you know, you've probably, if you're asking this question, you've probably seen the graphs on the news of how much someone has to make to buy a house. So really what they're doing is destroying the social fabric of society by making everyone feel like there's no hope to get out of, you know, poverty or the middle class.
Thank you. Is the Australian Constitution outdated, or does it still meet modern needs?
Well, I think a little bit differently about the government. It's like I don't think about like what the government can do for me, because it's like a lot of what the government says and what they actually do isn't actually, like, they just want to appear like they're doing stuff for us, you know? And there's some good politicians and stuff out there, like, don't get me wrong, but I just, you know, don't think you need a government to tell you what's right and wrong, you know?
Yeah. So it's just like a bluff to our society?
Well, especially with other things, it's like we've got the technology now for people to have actual democracy and vote, and we've got like so much access to information, but you need to have an informed population to have a true democracy. And if you ask yourself, is it like a true democracy right now? It's probably not, because we've got so much disinformation everywhere. And even the government's making a call on what is and what isn't disinformation, but they've got an agenda. Like, the government's a business, you know, so.
Thank you. Is this something you deeply believe in that others often question or challenge?
So something I deeply believe that I question or challenge. Oh, well, I'd say, like, when I was, like, at university, I was very, like, had atheistic tendencies, you know, well, I guess I wouldn't say, because, like, you're taught, like, evolution and stuff like that at uni, and I was doing biology, right? But now my beliefs have changed towards that. For example, like, I believe we're all from, like, a divine power, which is reality, which is God, you know.
Have people questioned your opinions on that? Or your beliefs on that?
Well, it doesn't even matter if they do, because you've got all these great philosophers going back in time, like, you know, Pythagoras and things like that, and they died for their beliefs because they knew the universal principles were true.
Thank you. Thank you. Should the government do more to ensure affordable housing for everyone, or is it fair to leave housing to the private market?
Well, how can you say it's a private market when the RTA tells people what they can and can't rent stuff out for? So if you have an asset and then the government comes in and says you can only rent it for this much, is it truly yours? You know? So it's not like it isn't a free market at all for, like, the people. So, like, people that have the houses, their mortgages are going up because they can't really afford the house either. You know, so they're, like, economically struggling. So I don't think it should really be, like, a divisive argument saying, like, oh, you're a property owner and, like, I'm a tenant, therefore, like, we should be, like, really angry at each other here. Both parties should be angry at the government for, like, allowing, you know, a 50-year bull market to happen, like a 50-year cycle of housing prices just going up and up and up over time, because that's not stable. It's not a stable, or, like, it's not feasible. Like, if something keeps going up like that, it's bound to have a massive crash, and that's what we're pretty much looking at the moment.
Thank you. Do you think people are born with a purpose, or do they create it over time?
Well, I could tie this back into the other question about, like, if we're looking at things as being, like, positive or negative, or, like, we could say everything's neutral, because there's a law called polarity. So, like, say we didn't have wars and we wouldn't know what peace is, you know? So, like, in this life, I truly believe you're here to learn a lesson, and that's, like, massive lessons that we can either ignore and we have more war, or we can acknowledge that that's, like, a hateful, evil thing to do and stop doing it. You know, it's like you don't know light without dark. You don't know hot without cold. It's observable everywhere, and that's to, like, teach us to become better and grow, you know.
Thank you. Is it ethical for the government to permit private property ownership that leads to individuals profiting from others needing a place to live?
Well, it's like, I don't know, because I, like, still rent, but, like, I've got, like, a business as well. So it's like, when you're a business owner, all the government does is tax you as a business owner, and what risks are they taking? Or what are they facilitating in the economy to help people benefit anyway, you know? So it's like if you were living in this society and you had the opportunity, you would buy a house, wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's more of a question about, like, what do we value as a society in general? Like, do we want, say we get eventually with technology, have, like, limitless energy, then, like, what do we work for then? You know what I mean? Should we just all be coming together to make everything, you know, free? You know? But if you look at some stuff that they're potentially wanting to introduce in America, like, they just want to pay people, and if you don't lose your money, you lose it. Like, the central bank decentralized token, you know, and that's, you know, money is a system of modern control, you know what I mean? So it's, I don't know if there's too much we can do about it until people don't want to participate in the system anymore. And then we would have to move to another system, a more like fair system where like, or it's like people like Ray Dalio talk about an idea meritocracy. So like your wealth's generated off your ideas or your contribution to society, instead of, you know, based on having or being fortunate to have a lot of money and just buy lots of assets. You know what I mean? So it's, I don't know, it's like, it's sort of like a neutral question, and it's like, should we just all become better or just keep asking the government what they can do for us? Because it's not like, no, if I a few years ago I was like, oh, the government's doing this, the government's doing that, but it's like, to a point I'm responsible for my own life and what I choose to like let in to that, you know what I mean?
Thank you. What should the government play in balancing the right of landlords and tenants to create a fair housing system?
Well, they're already manipulating the market, aren't they? They're saying they're capping rents, you know what I mean? So like you can't put rent up. I don't know the exact laws, but it's like, I think it's like a 6-month limit, or like you can't have an increase in a year or something. But then that's like really hurting the property investor, if you could call it a property investor. That's, their mortgages just keep going up and up and up, you know what I mean? So like on both sides of the ledger, people are being unfairly treated by the investors, getting unfairly treated by the bank for a loan that takes, you know, 30 years to pay off, and you'll probably be dead before you ever own that property, but you've got the illusion of you're controlling an asset, you know. And then you've got the renter that wants to buy a property, but it's going to take them 10 years to save up enough money to get into the property market. And by that time, the market's probably hyperinflated. So it's a problem with the currency system because we've debased it with the loss of the Bretton Woods Agreement in America. So it's like currency over time is depreciating to nothing. And that's so it's an optical illusion that things are going up in value. It means you need more money to buy it. That's inflation. And we've got an inflation problem globally at the moment.
Thank you. Now the last question for the day. What do you think about technical advancement for nowadays? Or just like over the years?
I think you still need to know it's a tool. Like you still need to know how to use it and implement it, and you've got to have that experience. Like for example, if you're running a company, like, and you just go generate me a business plan, and you don't really know anything about the market, it's all about knowing what questions to ask it still. So you still have to have a high level of critical thinking. But I think because maybe knowledge is so easy to get, like, and people don't know if it's the right or the wrong knowledge, and we still get, like, AI still hallucinates. Like, I don't know, it's like people aren't questioning things as much anymore, which I think is a negative thing. But over time, I think, I don't know, it's like people either adapt to it and change, or, you know, they might get a bit like left behind and then have to catch up and start learning again. But everything's scary when you first start doing it, I guess, you know. But yeah, there could be a deeper philosophical thing that you could go into about that though, but yeah, it's a bit whether it's conscious or not and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time today. That's all the questions for the day, guys. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and share for more content like this. And see you next time. Peace.